pleased to introduce my friend Dorothy Savarese.
Well, thank you so much, Bert, and back at you. We're just so excited to partner with the Technology Council, and we're just huge fans of you and your leadership. So thank you for letting me be with you here today. And Jen and Robin and the rest of the Cape Cod Technology Council board, the leadership that you continue to exhibit and have exhibited, particularly over the last 14 months, has really been amazing. So on behalf of the community, I want to say, thanks to you for everything that you're doing. Although it seems pretty natural now, right, to have a technology council meeting using Zoom, despite us all suffering Zoom fatigue at this point. I know that we would rather get to see each other in person. I love that dreaming of scrambled eggs, and hopefully we will soon. There really is light at the end of the tunnel. We're in a different place than we were last year. And when I say that, and when you all say that you would rather be here in person, that to me really underscores two things about the Technology Council. And I know this is stating the obvious, but that it's both about people and technology. And so, for example, I noticed that right now I am looking at people, many of you friends, and so good to see you. And I'm looking at you through technology. And you have so recognized that creating a catalyst for connections and collaborations among those who develop technology and those who are learning about technology and those who are using it can really nurture, just as you all have said, innovation and support the economic sustainability of our communities. And as Jen pointed out, now more than ever, they've been so hard hit, as well as the health of the individuals and families and businesses within them. And if you think about this whole last year and the thought of getting to the end of the tunnel, the role of technology in every element of our collective ability as a country and as a region to respond to this crisis is so evident, and perhaps more so to all of you even, right? And, as Jen began, and so appropriately, this pandemic crisis has taken so much from us in terms of human lives and illnesses, as well as the massive economic toll that she mentioned. There's no way that we would ever wish for this once in a century pandemic to reoccur. But at the same time, as several of you have pointed out, the stressors of COVID and the responses to it acted as an accelerant, driving progress in all areas of technology. You pointed out the telemed. Well, clearly with the development of vaccines and the adoption of technology for business and learning and life. I mean, just think about the mRNA platform and how that is going to be the basis for so many other vaccines as we move along. The other thing about this past year for so many of us, and I don't know if you've experienced the same thing, is that it's really sharpened our focus on those things that really mattered. As the inessential and the excuses sort of got stripped away. And as several of you pointed out, that long overdue reckoning on race, really, there was a time and a space for it, triggered by some horrific events, but it really opened our eyes to how much more we need to do in terms of diversity and equity and inclusion, and how much unconscious bias, for example, is built into our technology at all levels. And again, with that K-shaped recovery and the digital divide that Jen addressed, that much more has to be done about that as well. So the other piece, and each of you touched on that, I was delighted, is that as the increasing impacts of climate change roiled across the country, it became much more difficult for many people to continue to ignore the undeniable science. Science, it's a good thing. So the Technology Council has for a very long time incorporated these three elements. Technology is by people and for people. Diversity, equity, and inclusion and digital inclusion have to be clearly embedded as a focus in everything that you're doing. And the climate crisis is facing us now, and technology can actually help address that. So we at Cape Cod 5 actually share all of those values. And so we've been working to try to use technology and innovation in order to support all of them. And I thought it might be helpful to sort of, just get a peek into a local business and what we've done to transform during the pandemic and the role that technology and innovation have played, just sort of as a case study. So I just want to share a little bit about Cape Cod 5's experience. One of the reasons we partner with the Technology Council is that we realize that technology has to underpin all of our efforts. We have a number of employees that are members, and we've made a lot of advancements, including before the pandemic, we'd actually invested in a technology company. So when COVID hit, based on everything that we had done already, we were able to pivot to work from home for our back office employees within about 2 weeks. We accelerated our adoption of appointment setting applications to support our customers when we were closing our lobbies except for appointments. We expanded what they could do through curbside, and our customers increased their utilization of online and mobile banking. And so we ramped up our resources to support them, and we actually introduced an enhancement to it in the middle of the pandemic back in November. And one of the things, if you read some of the studies, is mobile banking does increase economic inclusion. And so this, again, helps bridge that digital divide. We even leverage technology to raise much needed funds to support healthcare organizations and to provide small business relief in that we stood up a digital portal, and we matched donations from the community and our employees on a dollar for dollar basis. And then that plus all that we gave through our foundation and through the bank, we gave over $1.6 million last year to community-based organizations, mostly to address the crisis. Now, we'd already been working on a loan portal, so we were able to quickly adapt that to become a PPP loan program portal. And we were up and running the first day that the SBA opened up the PPP loan program. We used webinars to reach out, and we actually reached out to community-based organizations to actually get their members involved in these webinars so that we could, again, bridge that digital divide. And, because the PPP process was a bit complicated. In terms of loans, we were super excited that all of this technology and innovation led to us doing over 3,600 PPP loans. And in the whole state, based on numbers of loans, because not size, because we do a lot of small loans, we were actually number 9 in the entire state in terms of the numbers that we did. Now, you've talked about diversity, equity, and inclusion and digital inclusion. And we too were really challenging ourselves to do a lot more. So as I said, one of the things that we did was leverage our digital means such as mobile banking and webinars and portals, combined with additional outreach to amplify our inclusion on the digital side. One of the things we did as well, which really combined the digital piece and inclusion and diversity, equity, and inclusion, is we partnered with an international technology company that's focused on driving social change through education to offer diversity, equity, and inclusion classes on a virtual basis to local schools, in addition to doing financial know-how, again, with the financial know-how, empowering people who are impacted negatively through this pandemic. Now, another one of our principles that you identified as well is environmental stewardship. And we recognize that our area is particularly vulnerable. And we know that we're especially susceptible to the impact of climate change. So we've introduced solar loan programs, invested in solar arrays, made thousands of heat loan programs, and are working with Solarize Yarmouth and other organizations on climate-focused home loans. And a lot of these have to do, again, with leveraging technology in order to harness renewable energy. And of course, as you know, our headquarters, HQ5, as we call it, was developed to lead gold standards in order to uphold our commitment to environmental stewardship. And a lot of the way that it achieves that is through technology, the solar array, the smart windows, and other elements of the building. So honestly, when you hear about all of your activities, it deserves applause. The way that you have pivoted and expanded your reach and built in those three elements of people and diversity, equity, and inclusion, and digital inclusion, and the environment into all of your programming. You know, that 5-week Earth Tech Month that you just conducted was just one example of it. And you've delineated so many others. I was able to catch a few of the programs. They were just outstanding. And also I serve, you do all of this collaboration. I serve on the Cape Cod Climate Change Collaborative Board with Bert, and Matt is actually my alternate. And Jean Curry's on the board, and Maggie Downey, and I see Brian Miner and others, which really shows your engagement with other groups to support the vitality of our communities. Bert, you mentioned the Net Zero Conference, your individual participation, and that was so crucial. But just like with you being able to get these world-class speakers, and as you know, we were able to attract world-class speakers, and before we were constrained to about 200 participants because of the physical location, we were able to attract over 600 participants this year. So Robin, back to your point about hybrid, what is this going to look like? So you all have pivoted and you've adapted and you've moved forward in such an exciting way during this last year in that whole lemons to lemonade theme that Jen mentioned at the beginning. You've strengthened your focus on that explosive synergy when people and technology come together in order to benefit our livelihoods and our neighbors and our natural environment. So you've really reached a much broader audience now by utilizing new platforms in new ways and engaging so many exciting subject matter experts. And your leadership on so many issues has been so vital to our communities, working on, for example, such critical underpinning structural issues like Jean was talking about with broadband. And you've become a magnet for new ideas and deeper, more reflective thought. So as we all look ahead and we realize that the pandemic has left an indelible mark on all of us, and it has taken a lot from all of us. But as we've all just talked about, it's given us so much. So as we look ahead, can we focus on what it has given us and how we can use that to work together to build a better community? As we move into a world, we're going to be able to gather in person. How can we leverage these innovations and learnings from the past year and a half and build them into new approaches? And for example, just one example, could you help area businesses learn ways to address ongoing challenges like workforce issues by leveraging technology to inform them about how to automate lower level activities, allowing employees to engage in value-added jobs and supporting upward mobility in the workforce? I mean, that's just one example of the many, many things that you are doing and can do as you move ahead, because there's so many challenges that we have, and there's such an important role that you have to play. We need you. We need the Technology Council. We need you to continue your efforts to continue to evolve as we all emerge and move forward together. So congratulations on an amazing year. And thank you for all of your collective work. And we all look forward to working with you. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dorothy. I think it goes, I think I can speak for everyone to say that your leadership in this challenging time, I think, puts all of us at ease. And, I see you in these leadership positions nationally and in our region, and it makes me feel at ease that I know that we have someone that's looking out for our region in such an important way. So thank you for all that you do for the bank, and then of course for our entire region and beyond. Thank you.